Tuesday, August 16th, Architectural Review Board to meeting. A meeting to order. What am I trying to say? Thinking out loud. Madam Secretary, if you'll please call the roll.
Kevin Breek.
Here.
Irma Johnson.
Here.
Patty Cross.
Here.
Nicole Conkle.
Here.
Tom Midcook. Jennifer Overland.
Here.
Brittany Sands.
Here.
We have a quorum.
The next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes from our July 19th, 2022 meeting. Someone has a motion, or is there any corrections?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Everybody who votes to approve, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Next, we will move on to the order of new business. With that, we'll start with the chairperson's report and administrative approvals. I would like to start with making sure everybody knows that September is Archaeology Month. And I think our board member, Ms. Conkle, would like to tell us about maybe some events or something about the month in general.
The Kentucky Heritage Council will be hosting a 30 Days of Kentucky Archaeology blog. On that, there will be basically listings of activities going on throughout the state. But our largest one is Living Archaeology Weekend, and it's September 17th and 18th at Daniel Boone National Forest. And consultants, academics, and government archaeologists all come together and volunteer for the weekend. We invite every fifth grader in the state for Saturday, and Sunday's open to the public, and it is really awesome. So,
Can older people than fifth graders come on Saturday or just fifth graders?
just
Okay.
fifth graders
Okay.
on Saturday, but everybody else can come on Sunday.
Okay. Thank you. Next, I'll ask Jordan to just make the public aware that we were able to finally get the final version of the African American Historical Context Report, and it's available on the city website.
Yes.
Okay. That is a report.
So we did receive a few bound copies. We have one or two here at the city. We also took one to the library as well, so they have one. Yeah, if you go to frankfurt.ky.gov/planning, you can find it on that landing page there.
And if somebody goes to the library, they just ask at the front desk?
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. And we're very excited about that. I've spent some time with it. Hope others will too. And then one other part of the chairperson's report, I'm actually going to ask Board Member Sams to give it. There was a comprehensive plan meeting today, and she'll give us a brief overview.
Yeah, there was a city county comprehensive advisory committee meeting today. We're meeting once a month at this point, and today we covered demographics for both the county and the city. We compared them to each other, to surrounding counties with comparable, with comparable statistics. And we also discussed a vision statement, as well as kind of looking at over the next year until I think June 2023, what we're going to be covering at each meeting. So.
Nice, thank you. And then in conclusion, I'll ask Jordan to go over the administrative approvals for the time period of July 12th through August 16th.
All right, in the Special Capital District at 312 Ewing Street, staff approved retaining wall repair. 2 at 417 through 419 Steel Street, replacement/repair of roof on a first story with in-kind materials. 3 at 123 East 4th Street, demolition of the primary structure. This, of course, was the fire that happened a few weeks ago, received significant fire damage, and it was quite a public safety hazard. 4 at 311 West 3rd Street, we approved interior work to, and also to remove non-historic addition walls. That's something else that you'll see tonight with the proposed additions on there. And then in the Special Historic District 5 at 212 Wilkinson Street, fence replacement with in-kind materials was approved by staff.
Okay, thank you. And just to note, the demo of the structure on East 4th Street was an emergency demolition in which, city staff gave this board proper notification. So just to put that on record. With that, just so those in the audience know, under new business, we are going to switch some items up due to a board member needing to not be involved in voting on one of the cases. So under new business, item number 6 is actually going to be moved to just before citizens' comments. So if you're following along, wanted to let you know about that. So with that, I will ask that the secretary please review or read the request for new business item number 2.
In accordance with Articles 4 and 17 of the City of Frankfort zoning ordinance, Jeff Kell of Kell Properties LLC is requesting a certificate of appropriateness to install an exterior steel stairway, enlarge an existing second-floor window opening to accommodate a door, and infill and cover the existing west side entry at the property located at 225-227 East 3rd Street. The property is more particularly identified as PVA map number 062-3119-00400.
All right, the scope of work for this application includes the construction and installation of a metal staircase to access the second floor apartment from the exterior. Currently, this apartment is accessed via a side entrance at the first floor on the west side of the building. Moving the access to the exterior requires the installation of a door at the second floor. So the applicant is proposing to enlarge an existing window opening on the second floor to accommodate this new entrance door, and would also like to fill the existing door opening and cover it with siding to match the rest. So this house that sits on the property was built in the early 20th century. It is located on the 1907 Sanborn Fire Insurance map. 1901 map does not include the area of South Frankfort, so it's hard to pinpoint exactly its construction date. But it does appear to have been constructed as a duplex originally. It has a large front gable and minimal colonial revival detailing expressed in the columns of the full width porch, and has an asphalt shingle roof. The building was in poor condition when recently purchased by the applicant, Mr. Kell, in August of 2021. One of the dwelling units on the first floor has been condemned under the previous ownership, and he has been working to rehabilitate the structure in the upstairs apartment. So the house was last surveyed by an architectural historian about a decade ago, and it is a contributing structure to the South Frankfort National Register District. In our evaluation, we understand why the applicant desires to eliminate the existing interior stairs, They are very steep. They also don't meet building code, and their existence takes up valuable space in the interior. So the metal stairs that they're being proposed, while it's not currently used on the building, it's necessary here in this instance to meet building code requirements due to the proximity of the neighboring structure, the neighboring house directly adjacent to the property, instead of constructing it out of wood stairs. The removal of the second story window, which is toward the rear of the building, enlarging the opening and replacing it with a door will not be very visible change from the public right-of-way. It is very difficult to see that window from the street right now. The applicant is proposing to use a salvaged wood door with 5 horizontal panels for the new exterior door, and it's compatible with the one remaining historic door on the house. The applicant would also like to cover the existing door opening on the west side with siding, rather than inset it to show it where it used to be, which is what the design guidelines require. Staff concurs that keeping the opening apparent does not make a lot of sense in this case. So staff finds that the application as submitted by the applicant is compatible in concept with the requirements of the zoning regulations, sections 4.418 and 17.10. We suggest 6 following facts that are relevant to the board's decision, which you can find on page 4 of your staff report. With that, we suggest that if the board elects to issue a COA for this request, 3 conditions be applied also on page 4 of your staff report. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have. I haven't received any comments from the public via email or telephone call about this request.
Are there any questions for Jordan? I have one just to clarify. They're gonna be at the rear
On
side,
the
so the
side, if
side
you're-
facing the new shelter building.
Other side.
Very narrow. Okay. Any other questions for Jordan?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is the applicant or a representative of the applicant present?
I believe so.
No? Okay. And we can still go through without a representative present?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay. All right, well, then I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we vote to approve the requested certificate of appropriateness for 225 through 227 East 3rd Street, considering the staff findings and suggestions on page 4.
Second.
Madam Secretary, if you'll call the roll.
Ms. Conkle?
Yes.
Ms. Sams?
Yes.
Mr. Breek?
Yes.
Ms. Oberlin?
Yes.
Ms. Cross?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, we will next move on to item number 3 of new business. Madam Secretary will read the request.
In accordance with Articles 4 and 17 of the City of Frankfort zoning ordinance, Zachary Moore of Moore Land Investment LLC is requesting a certificate of appropriateness to rehabilitate a historic carriage house, including construction of a front and rear additions to adaptively reuse it as a single-family home. The property is more particularly identified as PVA map number 062-1313-00500.
All right, the scope of work includes the rehab of a historic secondary structure and the construction of additions on the front and rear of the property in order to adaptively reuse it as a single-family residence. The front addition is proposed to be 288 square feet, and the rear addition is proposed to be 400 square feet. There is also a covered porch proposed for the rear of the building, and the exterior work on the historic structure includes masonry repair and infill of some historic openings. I will just mention a couple of years ago, 3 or 4, a similar application to this came before you guys at the same property to do an addition and on the front and then some sort of rooftop area. But we find that this is proposed as a little bit less intensive. Other than that, staff, sorry, I'll give you a description of the property. It once contained a large 2-story frame 19th century T-plan house with a hipped roof, Italianate detailing, and a large masonry front porch. That house was condemned and demolished in 2008 due to owner neglect. And this is the building that you're looking at tonight is the historic carriage house at the rear of the lot. It is a 2-story brick with parapet walls on each end and a standing seam metal roof. The National Register survey identified it as, when it was surveyed, as a livery stable, implying that it may have been used for commercial transportation purposes. All right. While the guidelines generally would not support an addition on the front of a primary structure, this building should not be considered a primary structure in our professional opinion. As previously mentioned, an addition did exist on the front of the structure during its history, and this addition may have been the enclosure of the historic porch that was delineated on the 1912 Sanborn map. The applicant is proposing to keep the existing windows. They are wood with a 2/1 configuration. The plans do show a different window style, but it is our understanding that the drawings do not reflect the applicant's intention. He also plans to install windows on the addition that will reflect a similar and compatible design. Applicant is also proposing to fill in 2 of the upper story openings as part of the proposed rehab plan. One of the rear windows is planned to be converted to a door opening in order to access the rear covered porch. Both of the additions and covered porch will receive a standing seam metal roof to match the historic structure. The siding for the additions is proposed to be fiber cement board with a similar profile to what is found on adjacent structures in the neighborhood. The rear foundation for the new addition is proposed to be of cement block. There will be no visibility from any public right-of-way. On the front, addition, the foundation will also be concrete, but the siding will be installed under the windows and approach the ground level, and landscaping will obscure the visibility, which will be very minimal. So staff's evaluation, we find that it's partially compatible in concept with requirements of the zoning regulations, sections 4.418 and 1710. We have 4 suggested findings which we think are relevant to the board's decision on page 4 of your staff report. If the board elects to issue a COA, we also have 5 conditions that we recommend be applied to this request. Also have not received any comments from the public regarding this case.
Are there questions for Jordan on the proposal?
So the rear addition is concrete block, you said?
The
Well,
foundation
the
is concrete
foundation.
block.
Oh, okay, so, but not the.
First plan?
I have 3 questions, if that's okay.
Yep.
So you mentioned that this is not the primary structure, but the carriage house is contributing structure to the National Register District. The modifications that are proposed, can they be easily reversed without impacting the structure?
Could it be easily reversed? There are currently the doors there, openings right on the front that exist now. So those will be removed, and I don't think that they'll probably be remaining on site. I'm not sure exactly how the opening on the interior of that addition will be with the openings that are there now.
So is that a no?
Easily, then probably no. Yeah.
So did you already cover, were those openings original? Like, were the size of the openings on the first story? Because I would take it that the coverings, the door coverings were not, I mean, they might be historic within themselves, but those wouldn't be original, really, to the building. No, I mean, they might be older than 50 years, but they wouldn't be.
Are you on the doors or the openings?
The doors, like the doors, what they're filled with. But I don't know if the opening size
Right, I
itself
doubt that
is
those are the original doors. Yeah.
Right,
It's-
yeah. But, and then the openings, though, that opening size was probably altered as well.
Yeah, I'm not,
Right.
not exactly sure.
Yeah,
It's, the dimensions that on it.
okay.
They've already blocked some up.
Okay, right. It does look like the lintels are a little wider as well, right there, so, yeah.
Will the address change on this property, or will the frontage be still considered the front?
Yeah, it will still be 311 West 3rd.
Any other questions for staff?
As I look at this, I remember it says that they're going to remove a couple of the windows and there'll be brick put in, but it'll be recessed so that you can tell
Yes.
there used to be windows there
Yes, correct.
in a tasteful way, of course.
Yes. There's some, I think they're going to reuse some of the existing brick that's on site as well.
Jordan, has this property been used as a, has anyone lived in it since 2008?
I don't know about 2008. No one's lived in it since 2015. I can say that
15,
for
okay.
sure. Since I've been here,
Okay.
it's been vacant. But yeah, 2008 was the year that
They started the renovation, so I was just
Actually,
curious if anyone
remote.
actually inhabited during that time. So you're saying that the doors, the carriage doors or the garage doors aren't really original in the first place? They were replaced in 2000.
No, they're probably older than 50 years.
Okay.
I think, yeah, on that photo, you see photo from between 08 and 15. I think they're just covered, possibly.
Oh, you think they're just covered with
Yeah,
those?
I
Okay.
can't say for sure, though.
Okay. Let's see, right. And then look right here. couldn't tell if that was the original ones or if they were. So they're not the original doors to that property.
Any other questions? I'll give you a second. All right, Jordan, I don't think we have any more questions for staff. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is the applicant or representative present? If you'll please come up and state your name and your address.
Hello, I'm Zach Moore. You want my home address? 895 Elkhorn Hills Lane here in Frankfurt.
And have you received and read the staff report?
Yes, I have.
And agree with the findings and
Yes.
suggestions?
Yes.
Okay. Anything you would like to tell us about the proposal?
I don't think so. He did a pretty good job of summarizing. You asked about the brick. There's a lot of pieces of brick, and there's a wall that's falling down. I think that's in one of the pictures. And our hope is to have enough brick to be able to reuse that in the insets. Of course, they'll be offset. So if we run out, we may try and work with the masonry guy to get some that's appropriate.
Thank you.
I'm just curious about the removal of the two windows in the front. Or the bricking them in. Just by virtue of design or?
By virtue of design, our goal was to get 2 bedrooms upstairs, and we tried to do it several ways without doing it, and it just really didn't work we didn't want the bedrooms to be smaller than like 7 foot, and it was really going to be a challenge. So we're putting 2 bedrooms and a bathroom upstairs, so that was the reason. We didn't really want to, so my hope is that we'll be able to, when we do the brick, make them kind of look nice. So.
So you mentioned just then about using materials that were on the lot already, and our staff report indicates that there is a stone wall against the east side of the lot. That's intact and
Oh,
being
yeah,
left,
yeah.
right?
And it's
Okay.
if once we uncover the brick wall that's fallen apart in front of it, if there's some work that needs to be done, we'll touch it up and make it look nice. But no intent to do anything we don't have to.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the applicant? Just going to give it a second. People seem to
No
be
problem.
intently reviewing. There's a lot of material in this one.
I understand.
We want to discuss this. What do you guys think about the windows?
The removal?
You don't plan on changing the structure of the doors, the garage doors as they are? I mean, like the structure?
The opening?
Yeah.
No, we'll just case the openings, basically. And it will become, it's really small on that side, and we're trying to create a kitchen and a living area. So by extending out on that side, it allows for more living space. So we'll remove the doors. My hope is that Jonathan Curry, who's doing the work, we may be able to reuse those garage doors on the interior as some sort of barn door or something. So we're going to try and salvage those.
They're very characteristic to the former purpose of the building.
Ms. Cross, do you remember, is my memory correct that in 2015 is when these doors were put in, and they were not original to the structure?
Yeah, they're definitely not. I mean, by looking, you can tell they're original. They do look cool.
I think you were on the
I was, I'm not exactly sure I remember specifically.
That was my question, so thank you.
So if you go to page 7, there's 2 photos. Before recent rehab, the openings were obviously there, but the doors that appear now are an improvement over what was there prior to 2015.
Right.
Our front addition will look much nicer than the one in the picture above. So.
Yes.
And that back addition was rehabbed in 2015, wasn't it?
I think it was that.
It looks like, yeah, it's not very old. They just, to be frank, they didn't do a great job on it. So we took it off and we're going to make it a little larger and a little nicer. So.
could you find a workaround with the windows, keeping them in place
The two,
The
on the
top,
front?
the top.
Yeah.
not without losing a lot of space, not a lot of usable space upstairs. And our goal is to, some of those windows are in really bad shape, and so our goal is to take the pieces out of the better windows and to be able to save all the windows that we can so we can reuse them. So there's pieces of different windows we're gonna, you understand what I'm saying? There might be a bottom half that's good on one and a top half that's good on another, so they're definitely gonna take some work, but we're gonna spend the extra money and save them, so. I don't know if it changes your mind at all. So my long-term goal is to build another structure in front of it that would be, so that this would remain a secondary structure. But I have to get this project done first, and then before I can do that. So at some point, you may not be able to see this.
Yeah.
I just can't promise you when that would be.
Any other questions? No? Thank you.
Thank you.
More discussion?
I just, it's great, just the windows.
It's
The
tough.
windows.
It's a tough thing.
I mean, they're so symmetrical. It's like, I don't know, I think it's a defining feature of the facade.
They're very characteristic.
Yes.
And I mean, I think there is a big loss when you cover this up too, you know, it's like.
Yeah.
And I don't think that would be easily reversible.
Huh?
Once it's changed, I don't think it'll be easily.
Not the windows.
No.
I mean, you can
well,
rip the front off.
The bottom,
I mean, the
These are the original
the
windows.
addition on the front.
yeah,
I
we
mean,
think
that
they
could
are.
go
They
away,
would probably
but the
put
windows,
it over there.
that's a pretty
Yeah.
hard one.
and this,
In this one.
yeah, I think they're just boarded
I see
over
one
there.
that looks so much worse than the one
project.
that's
Present.
on, the one that's not
Well,
boarded. So I'm wondering if they're not
several
all
years ago.
have been replaced.
Before
See this?
it was rehabbed, and it
And if you look over here,
was even rehab to the state it's in now.
Are there interior
they're
plans?
the same windows.
Yeah, it's on page, I don't have a page on this.
If you look at the windows,
And I'm sorry,
They're
I
in-
did have one more question for the
One's in a
applicant.
shower,
Sorry, that's
one's in
my
a
bad.
closet. So that's a shower or a tub.
The fact that the proposal
The
had a
closet could
different
be, but
design
then
on
you
the
would-
configuration of the window panes, you are gonna match.
Yeah, we're gonna, that was the AutoCAD, whatever program you had wasn't able to match it.
it had to have been.
Yeah, they would.
That's less, but the window in the
Thank you.
shower is really, those are big windows. It'd be really hard to waterproof that.
And they couldn't switch the scenes in the shower.
Not in that space.
I think we're all, the loss of the windows across the main facade and the top of it.
I get excited over these windows. I just don't
Painful.
think they're the original ones. See that one, look, how was that one? He would have had to replace all of the wood around. Right.
And I think the stairs are existing.
Yeah,
That's why you can't flop
you
it.
can't just, yeah, flip the bathroom. Yeah.
More discussion?
It's very difficult space to use. Um, And this project has been sitting a very, very long time. Unoccupied and unused.
The window openings will remain just bricked in,
There
so
will
they
be.
could be,
I mean, it'll still have it'll have the same character, but not, obviously the window won't be there.
right.
This is one of those, it is a secondary structure. And if we approve the front rehab anyway, it's dramatically changed.
And normally, staff, we wouldn't recommend that windows on the front facade be removed. But our viewpoint is it's a secondary structure. So-
It hurts though.
Can I ask you another
Please.
question? Okay, so I get that when the house was still in existence on the front lot, that this was a contributing structure to that and a secondary structure. But there is no longer a house between the road and that structure. So in essence, now it kind of is the primary structure.
Right, but it wasn't originally intended that way
Right.
strictly. And it does set back quite a distance from the right of way.
Yeah. Is it visible from the road?
Very much
Yeah.
so.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
It's not as far as it looks.
I don't know, it's pretty far back.
It's
I know, but
pretty,
if
it's
you're
pretty far back on
standing
the lot.
sidewalk in
There was a
front of
really
it.
big house in front of it before.
It was.
Yeah, so is the plan to have just 2 bedrooms and a bathroom on the second floor?
That was my
That's what
understanding.
we got out of
2
it.
bedrooms and a bath on the second floor.
Yeah, then there'll be a primary suite on the bottom rear addition, that's, so there'll be 3 total bedrooms, 2.5 baths, living area.
Because in modern design, one can put a bed in front of a window.
Well, if you look at the floor plan, the bathroom is in front of it.
One's the bathroom. One's the closet and one's the bathroom.
Oh, it might have been.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
the- I did ask.
And,
Oh, hello, he did. These are bringing together in my little mind.
yeah.
Windows in the shower.
It's a very difficult,
It's a tall window.
it's very difficult to work with.
Is there?
You're asking for other problems. It doesn't seal well.
What is this? Does this little triangle with the flaming is 4 feet wide?
I have no idea. I can't even read those. Those are usually a lighting or electric. You've got a key there, but I don't know if I can.
That's almost half a football field.
So it needs to have to be a super wide shower. Can the shower be like short? I don't know how large that space is, and
It's
I'm
not
not
very,
an architect.
maybe 5 feet wide.
I'm not a contractor.
It's the 2 things that are stumping me and making this such a difficult review is that it's been vacant since 2015.
Yeah, I
It's-
know.
No,
That's
no.
what- it's been vacant
since
longer.
08.
At least since 2015.
2015 was an attempt to maybe get people in it, and then it sat vacant again.
Yeah, and I mean, it is a beautiful structure, and I don't have a great imagination to see
kind
what it's
of-
gonna look like from the road, but I do see a lot of recommendations, like some addition of vegetative screening from the road.
I feel like it'll have the same symmetry. It just won't have the windows in it.
I know, because you leave the window in the closet, and it would knock off.
And that wouldn't work.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
So I almost agree with 2 over 1.
right. I know, I see that.
That's true. Does anybody have any questions?
Would they be able to put a bathtub
No,
in the shower?
I don't know what it is. I can't.
It's because, like, there's
It
a
does
shower
say tile
downstairs.
shower.
There's a
I
shower
think
downstairs.
I think it says tile shower.
We can ask the applicant.
Yeah.
I have a
I'm sorry, I think we have another question for the applicant.
That's a very big window.
So I can see you're working with a tight space upstairs. One of the windows is in a closet, which technically could be salvaged, right? Windows and closets would be okay. But the other window is in, it looks like what would be a shower. How wide is the space represented?
Let me get to the picture here. Can you tell me where you're looking?
I'm looking
doesn't have a
at the
pavement.
second floor plan.
Yeah, your
A3.
plans don't have a,
Yeah,
A3.
yeah.
Okay, so now, I'm sorry, could you ask your question again?
So the 2 windows that are being blocked in,
Mhm.
one of them is in a closet
Correct.
and the other one's in a shower.
Okay.
So the one that's in the closet, to me, it seems like that you could save that window. You could have a window in a closet, right? But the one in the shower, I understand, would be an issue. How wide is that space, though, for the shower?
For the shower?
Yeah.
I think was a standard, I think it's 6 feet total. So a standard tub is about 5 foot. If you weren't tiling a shower, it would be about 5 feet.
So, is there any way to save that window in the bathroom and just do a narrower shower, or
Oh,
just?
no, those are large windows. So you'd lose, I couldn't probably fit a 3x3 in there without, if I just did a stand-up shower, it would be less than 3x3. It would be tiny.
Should see the shower in the second story of my house. I don't think you can even stand up in it.
Well,
Yeah,
you probably don't like it.
No, I don't. Yeah, I just normally it is not the original primary structure, but
I understand.
it's a big deal to change not only the sashes that are in the windows, but to change like the fenestration pattern itself. So
I don't think we're proposing to change the sashes.
you're taking them out.
Oh, yes. I
Yeah.
am.
So yeah.
And those-
So I'm just saying, like, to brick them in, even though the outline would be there, but still. So there's no way that you could configure that bathroom to.
The bathroom, definitely not. I'd look to see about putting it into the hall and reconfiguring. And the larger bedroom on the end of that hallway is already under 10. It's at like 9. I can't see it on here, but I think it's like 9.6. So it was already pretty small from a width perspective. So we played with several configurations to try and save the 2 windows. And then it didn't really make sense to try and save one, if not the other,
Right.
to make it look uniform. So
Well, that makes sense, but
I can promise you it's going to look a lot better than it does right now. The building's needed renovation for a long time, so
We
Trying
said
to do
that
the
in
best we can.
2015 too.
what's that?
We said that in 2015 too. And here
Well,
we are.
the difference is
Here we are
I've already got a building permit and working on it, the interior. So
Okay.
I'm done.
Okay, hang on just a second. Can I ask one question,
Sure.
please?
Never seen it.
So our report lists you as a pending property owner? So,
I don't know if maybe the staff, I already own the property.
okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Window.
Yeah, we've been working on the interior for about 3 weeks maybe. So,
Thank you.
anybody else?
Thank you.
Should the board decide to consider approval, I have a couple of recommendations.
Would you like to run that?
Yeah.
Go ahead and just
So-
run that.
So the staff suggestions, if we could add that the applicant made every effort possible to make these modifications in an easily reversible manner, and the applicant agreed to make every effort to salvage all the historic fabric removed in this.
I was wondering about that too.
Then if we added those 2 conditions, I was
he's
just throwing out there for consideration by the board.
I think he's kind of agreed to that already.
Pretty much, but
Yes.
if we
Get it in
capture it
writing.
in the minutes and the staff suggestions.
Why don't you make that motion and we'll see how that goes? Otherwise, we could be here a while.
Okay, so I think we're going to move to entertaining a motion.
I will make a motion that we approve the application for the property on 311 West 3rd Street with all the findings presented by staff on page 4, all of the staff suggestions on page 4, and add the following 2 conditions: that the applicant make every effort to make these modifications in an easily reversible manner, and that the applicant makes every effort to salvage any historic materials that are removed or modified by this proposal.
Second.
Do I need to run those by the applicant first to make sure they're in agreement? No?
Okay, you'll be back up there.
Do you agree with the additional conditions?
Yeah, could you read the first part of your addition? Additional, you said to make it,
That-
make it easily reversible. Are you
Yeah.
talking about more the garage doors?
I'm talking about any modification that would alter the rhythm or fenestration of this building, that you just make every effort that you can to do it in a manner that should you decide to sell this property 5 years down the road and someone wanted to put it back the way it was when it was listed on the National Register, that you make every effort to make the modifications you're proposing here in a way that's easily reversible.
Yeah, I don't intend, other than, when you brick in the window, and I guess that'd be more of a question for me to ask the brick mason, but I'm assuming, I don't know if they would do something to, it'll obviously be inset, so that would easily be taken out, and then the only other thing I'm doing that's historical would be the front. We're just gonna case those openings so you could easily put garage doors back in if someone wanted to. Yeah, and I think your second was to, we're already trying to preserve any materials that we can to reuse in the property, so.
There was a second.
Yes.
Would you please call the roll?
Ms. Conklin?
Yes.
Ms. Samms?
Yes.
Mr. Breek?
Yes.
Ms. Oberlin?
Yes.
Ms. Cross?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Madam
Did you write
Chair.
those down by any chance?
Sorry, yes, I did.
So at the
I'll
end of
pass
the
it.
meeting, can I have them?
You got it.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I would like to remove myself from the DS for this next review, please.
Okay, so Ms. Kunkel's going to remove herself from the item number 4 of new business. And Madam Secretary, will you please read the request?
In accordance with Articles 4, 16, 17, 18, and 19 of the City of Frankfort zoning ordinance, Forest Holdings LLC is requesting a conditional use permit to operate a short-term rental at the property located at 103 Watson Court. The property is more particularly identified as PVA map number 061-2409-00200.
All right, so the subject property that we're looking at includes a historic building on approximately 5,655 square foot lot at the south end of Watson Court on the east side of the street. The special historic zoning district in which the property is located is primary residential. However, other permitted uses include owner-occupied short-term rentals, churches, libraries, and museums, and charitable, indigent, limited care facilities that meet the zoning requirements. There are a number of conditional uses which may be permitted in the SH zone, which includes non-owner occupied short-term rentals that you're looking at tonight. It's conditional use. So this house is a 1.5-story bungalow built in the Dutch colonial revival style. This example has an unusual peaked roof over the traditional gambrel roof associated with this style. It is a contributing structure to the Central Frankfort National Register District, which was listed in 2009. So, staff's analysis that we find that the proposed use is permissible within the special historic zoning district, provided the stipulations in Article 12 and 19 are met. There is a paved parking area to the south of the house on the lot, which meets the parking requirement for a dwelling unit in the SH zone per Article 12 of the zoning regs. And there are also general conditions listed in Article 19.01 for conditional uses that are also all met. So based upon the information contained in the application and staff's evaluation, we find that the request for the conditional use permit is compatible in concept with the requirements of the zoning regulations, sections 4.403, 12.012, 19.01, and 1915, and the following suggested facts as listed on page 2 and 3 of your staff report, 4 of them. And we do have a few recommended conditions, 5 of them on page 3 of the staff report, if the board elects to issue the conditional use permit. I did send you all forwarded you an email earlier today, this morning, about this request as well.
Any questions for staff?
by our regulations, by our regulations, is there anything that would not allow this to be?
It appears that it meets all the conditions in the current regulations we have. We don't have anything that would prohibit that based upon what is currently codified.
And just clarify for me, please, Jordan. We've seen a few conditional use permits for these activities come before this board, but not all that are issued in the city, I would assume.
Correct.
And why do some come before this board?
So when you all review things like conditional uses, there are 3 zoning districts, right? They all have different requirements and standards, permitted uses, conditional uses. Owner-occupied short-term rentals are permitted by right in all 3 of those zones. That's when the applicant or the property owner lives on site and decides to use a portion of the building, right, to rent it out. Then we also have non-owner occupied short-term rentals, which are where the property owner lives off-site and they rent out the whole building. In this instance, in this zone, special storage zone, non-owner occupied are conditional uses.
I just kind of needed clarity in my own mind for that, so thought it might be helpful for the public too. Okay. Any other questions for Jordan? I'm gonna take that as a no.
I will let you know that we have about 90 to 100 properties that are zoned SH. Currently, we have registered, we have documented and registered in that zone 1. It's at 101 Wilkinson, which is an owner-occupied bread and breakfast that was approved by this board for conditional use. And then, of course, the 300 Washington hotel, restaurant, that consider that more of a hotel, not Airbnb.
Yeah.
And then I looked on Airbnb today. I didn't see any. I mean, that's not scientific what I'm looking at too, right? But I didn't see any in that zone that are currently listed, so, for what that's worth.
Thank you, Jordan.
Thank you.
Is there a representative for the applicant or the applicant present? Would you please come forward and state your name and address?
Good evening. My name is Tim Deschler. I live at 113 Hamilton Park in Lexington.
Okay, have you received the staff report
I have.
and reviewed it and agree with everything and the suggestions
I do.
contained within? Does anybody have any questions for the applicant? Thank you.
I have one quick question.
Sure.
Did you purchase the property for a short-term rental? Was that your specific?
So we purchased the
use?
property and then did some extensive renovations to it. We have an extensive number of properties. We've done the same thing in Frankfurt for going on 2 years now. But we actually did an economic feasibility study for the property at 300 Washington Street that we acquired. And it came back that saying that there was a real desire for more short-term rentals, specifically Airbnbs, in the downtown Frankfurt area, not with the Bourbon Trail, but for a plethora of reasons. So we decided, based on that this actually might be more of a benefit, not just for us, but for the community with the district downtown. So that was how we came across that decision.
Thank you.
Would you mind to spell your last name for me, please?
Desklear.
Thank you.
So, Jordan, I did not bring a copy of the public comment, written public comment that was received. Oh, thank you. But I think I should read this aloud to put this into public record.
Madam Chair, would it be okay if we
Yeah,
comment?
sure. So you'd rather do that than me read this? Or both?
If that's acceptable, we'll read it.
Okay. There are a lot of you, which we encourage. That's okay. But we are going to limit public comment, okay?
I do not know all of the individuals, but we need to put a shot clock on this call.
Okay.
Yeah, we just want to read the statement, and
You all want to read the statement?
Oh, okay.
Not individual comments? Okay, perfect. Yay. So there are members of the public present that would like to read a letter aloud. So if you will please state your name and address, and then the floor is yours.
Zachary Koppel, 105 Watson Court, representing Watson Court. And the copy, I think that hopefully you all received should reflect our names and addresses. We, the residents who live on Watson Court, are good neighbors with a strong community culture. From daily visits on porches to outdoor movie nights, block parties to looking out and caring for one another in times of need, we support our community. We are welcoming to new neighbors on the block and we incorporate them into this community. But there is a worry of how short-term rental use of 103 Watson will impact the neighborhood culture of the street. Short-term visitors may be open to the community and appreciate the hospitality. Or it may be that the perpetual changeover of visitors who are only driving through as they head to tourist destinations could dilute the culture of the court. Furthermore, with our proximity to the central business district downtown, we worry that other speculators may look to cash in on this recent trend and establish other short-term rentals on the block. As a city, we should not ignore the value of established residential neighborhoods thriving adjacent to our historic downtown commercial district. While we understand staff's proposed finding regarding future land use as depicted on the comprehensive plan map, we respectfully request this board recognize that the plan map currently fails to show any distinction between our historically SH neighborhood from that of the mixed-use central business district. If one were to follow the color coding of the comprehensive plan's exhibits, its guidelines seem to be particularly focused on the CBD zones, permitted uses, even calling for a 24-hour active downtown. We believe this is an oversight of the big picture, thinking of a comprehensive plan, and that these guidelines were not intended for the established residential areas of the Special Historic District. Further, the general development guidelines for downtown mixed-use properties call for new developments to observe the regulations of the zoning ordinance and that apply to the National Register historic districts. Along those same lines, we would also like to reference Goal 6 of the Comprehensive Plan as pertains to preserving existing neighborhoods and consider applying those policies to this application. In particular, Policy 5 calls that for us to preserve buildings and neighborhoods to maintain community character. With these concerns, we, the residents of Watson Court, have signed this petition for consideration of the board. Whereas the subject property is located at the end of our narrow, dead-ended court, and as parking resources on Watson Court are limited, and as all other homes on the street are long-term residential use, and as the home has served as a long-term residence since its construction at the turn of the 20th century, and as the allowance and permitting of this house to be used for short-term residency may likely lead to further speculation of this use on properties of the block, and such single-family, non-owner occupied short-term rentals are not allowed in residential zone neighborhoods in the city. And lastly, as the Frankfurt zoning district regulations allow for our input through the public hearing process for the conditional use as it will impact our neighborhood. We, the residents of Watson Court, ask that the Architectural Review Board, acting as the Board of Zoning Adjustments, deny this conditional use application to ensure the preservation of our small residential neighborhood. Thank you.
Is there any other public comment?
Good point, thank you. Are there any other members of the public that would like to speak on this matter? There being none, we're going to move to board discussion. So,
Are we gonna change policy?
yeah, but I do have this question. Frankfurt zoning district regulations, not those, hold on. Where does that fall into what zoning?
I can't read it from here.
Residential zone neighborhoods in the city. Okay. So it's like the historic districts don't have that, but others do.
You know this on being on planning. Is that what you, I'm trying to get this. Non-owner, is it not allowed in other neighborhoods outside of downtown?
There's one staff.
Non-owner occupied short-term rentals are not permitted, nor are they conditional in our single-family zoning districts. So that's areas like Indian Hills or Silver Lake, for instance. Things that are zoned like RA, RB, RC. And our other zones like commercial zoning, where they happen to be residences, those are permitted there.
So in a regular residential neighborhood, single-family neighborhood, they're not permitted, and you can't even apply to ask? Is that what you're saying?
Correct. Yes.
They would not be allowed.
Right.
But they're
For
allowed
the
in downtown.
non-residential.
For the single-family
They're
neighborhoods?
permitted by
Correct.
right in
Okay.
Central Business and in South Frankfurt.
Because of all of the.
How many do we have in the downtown that you know of? Because I know of three.
Several dozen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know of three personally, so there are at least
And then how do you define?
2 or 3 dozen. I'd
2 or
say.
3 dozen
Neighborhood.
short, long-term, yeah.
I mean,
They're mostly concentrated in
Change the
CB
policy.
and
Yeah.
Frankfurt.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, and you all jump in, please feel free. And this is just us deliberating, me thinking out loud, which is probably very dangerous. We're in a position where the rules are the rules. We have the zoning that we have. It is what it is. We understand the concern and understand there's a lot of complexity in our historic districts to defining a neighborhood, a resident, but hopefully, I would hope that something with comprehensive planning moving forward, this is all being thought about and discussed and
Definitely, yeah, it's something Vicki and I have talked about because they're popping up a lot.
popping up a lot. Yeah, and I mean, as a resident of one of the 3 historic districts, I don't want the fabric of my community lost either to, it's very important to all of us that choose to live down here. Having said that, what's currently on the books is what's currently on the books, and Lord knows this board has been in that position before. Here we are again. So,
I have had the same thought process as you. I also live in one of these 2 neighborhoods. I also think that this needs to be addressed in a larger umbrella over us, but it is what it is. What it is.
I don't know how to define it another way, is because those are, the planning has decided that the single-family homes, and they have given them a specific area, and I don't know how you would transplant that to another zone without a whole nother neighborhood and zoning change for it.
Some communities quantify the number that can exist in a block, for instance, things like that.
I'm afraid I'm one of those people who, when I go to Charleston, Savannah, if I choose a place to rent for a week or 2 with my family, 9 times out of 10, it's probably going to be a historic place. And now that I'm listening,
I know, I mean, it is.
now that I'm listening to
they're
a
super
community
convenient,
talk
yeah.
about that, I realize that
Yeah.
that could be an issue. But that's what I look for as I'm trying to spend some time in a place that I like to observe. So
So just to let members of the public know, and leaders and people involved in comprehensive planning. I think it's safe to say this concerns all the members of this board and something that we hope can be further discussed. And maybe, this is where I might get in trouble with Ed, he'll let me know, at a later date, we as a board can come out with a formal stance for the comprehensive planning process about this situation on its own. But I think for the proposal in front of us, we have clear guidance in black and white by the regulations. So, having said that, I hope the applicant does hear the neighbors and is aware of that and knows that we have some great real estate prices in this community for single-family homes for sale. We do, just to throw that out.
May I respond to that?
Yeah.
We have been working in Frankfurt for quite some time. We are doing a project on 300 Washington Street. We've renovated almost 24 homes. We're very dedicated to this community. I understand your concerns. I wish I'd heard them before this evening. But I'm happy to work with you all to establish some boundaries and rules. I live on a street in a historic district in Lexington. And
You should probably
sure,
go to
why
the
not?
light.
Okay.
And I might have you go just start over again.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, we're very committed to Franklin County and Frankfurt. We've been here for several years. We've got multiple different projects going. I think we brought a lot of value to single-family residential, as well as the Airbnb side of things, along with our property, 300 Washington Street. We're very committed to being responsible neighbors. I wish I'd heard these concerns before this evening. But Ms. Johnson, you mentioned, when you'd like to travel to Carolina. I'd ask you, how many times do you think that you are a negative impact to the neighbors around you?
I am never a negative.
Exactly. We look forward. We want to.
I, on the other hand, could probably be trouble.
We'll make sure we review your application for an Airbnb each time very thoroughly. But look, we're not trying to cause problems here. We think historic downtown is a beautiful thing. We want more people to come. I'm not sure if you've seen who your core travelers that come through for the Bourbon Tour go out to Buffalo Trace. These are not the types of people that are going to cause problems. And I'd like to work with the community to establish some guidelines that we can put in as riders onto this sort of thing. So I understand the concerns. I appreciate them. We're not here to make a quick buck. We're making a very, very significant investment in Frankfurt. We're looking forward to be partners for a long time. Yeah, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion. Is there more comment from us, or more discussion?
Only that, just coming from the Comprehensive Advisory Plan meeting, one of our issues in Frankfurt is our lack of housing stock.
Yep.
So 300 Washington is awesome because it works very well as a hotel. Single-family residences are in demand. That's the thing.
Yep.
There's a difference between a hotel and a house. And that's the concern for the trend. It is lovely to stay in a historic district when you move somewhere, but we're just low on housing inventory in every neighborhood, at every income level.
My problem is
So-
that I think as that organization moves forward, that group, they should take up this issue, and it shouldn't be our issue.
Yeah, and
Exactly,
that's why
yeah,
I
exactly.
think
It's
that's
not in
something
our
for
lane
us to
right
talk
now.
about,
Yeah.
to put something
And
formal.
honestly, there may be other avenues beyond the comprehensive plan to
Yeah.
fix it. I remember working on the text amendment or whatever that made it the way it is in other neighborhoods. So it could go that route. Doesn't have to wait on the comp plan.
But let's steer back to this proposal. I think now we have to
Yes.
have a motion on this proposal.
Why don't I try this one? I would move that we approve the request in accordance with Articles 4, 16, 17, 18, and 19 in the City of Frankfurt zoning ordinance for Forest Holding LLC to have a conditional use permit to operate a non-owner occupied short-term rental property located at 103 Watson Court. Based on the findings in staff's report in R4 on page 2 and 3, and also with the 5 conditions recommended by staff.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Madam Secretary, if you'll please call roll.
Ms. Sands?
Yes.
Mr. Brink?
Yes.
Ms. Oberlin?
Yes.
Ms. Cross?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Motion carries.
And we still love all of you.
I know. Change my techniques.
Okay, moving to the next order of business, we will be moving to new business item number 5. If Madam Secretary would please read the request.
In accordance with Articles 4, 16, 17, 18, and 19 of the City of Frankfort zoning ordinance, Kevin Pierce is requesting a conditional use permit to operate a microbrewery at the property located at 317 St. Clair Street. The property is more particularly identified as PVA map number 061 2413 02100.
All right, the property that you all will be reviewing for this conditional use features a 3+ story, 2-part commercial block building that was originally designed for mixed use. The construction date is estimated to be between 1850 and 1875. The building is brick and divided into 9 vertical bays and is a wonderful example of Victorian commercial architecture. It is contributing to the Frankfort Commercial Historic District listed in 1979 with state and local significance, as well as the Central Frankfort Historic District listed with state significance in 2009, and it is depicted on an 1886 Sanborn map. So microbreweries are conditional uses in the Central Business Zoning District. There are some conditions that have to be fulfilled in order for it to be approved for microbreweries, 4.06.28, and there are 5 of those. The applicant has met all those requirements, as well as the general requirements of conditional uses in 19.01 that we had all positive findings for. So based upon that, in the application and our evaluation, we find that it's compatible, the conditional use request and concept, with the zoning regs, sections 4.0628, as I mentioned, 12.012, 19.01, and 3 suggested facts on page 3 of your staff report. And we do recommend 4 conditions should the board elect to issue the conditional use permit. No public comments. I haven't received any for this conditional use request.
Thank you, Jordan. Any questions for Jordan? Jordan, I have a question.
Yeah.
If you look at the top of page 3, above the staff conditions, actually, other general requirements, Article 19.01, appropriate signage will be a condition of approval. Was that supposed to be in the staff suggestions?
At the top of page 3?
Yeah. Right under see where it
Appropriate
says,
signage will be a condition of approval. Yeah, that's kind of worded strangely. Basically, their sign regulations that we have for the CB district. So
Okay,
they haven't proposed any at this time, but that is one of the 19.01 conditions, that if there is any signage, that it shall meet section Article 13 of the zoning regs. And we'll, whenever they apply for a sign permit, we'll ensure
Gotcha.
that they do.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Sure, yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions for Jordan? Thank you.
Thank you.
And I believe the applicant is present. If you'll please come forward and state your name and address.
Kevin Pierce, 219 Logan Street, here in Frankfort.
Okay. And have you received a copy of the staff report?
Yes, ma'am.
Read it and agree with all the staff suggestions and conditions?
Yes.
Okay. And are aware that any signage that you might want on the exterior has to have approval?
Yes, that's my next step.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions for the applicant? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
I will entertain a motion, or discussion. Is there discussion? All right, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the certificate permits for the property
Conditional
located.
use permit, yeah.
Oh, it's a condition, I'm sorry. The conditional use permit for the property located at 317 St. Clair Street to operate a microbrewery. Along with the evaluation and the staff suggestion, the 4 staff suggestions that are available.
Second.
Madam Secretary, if you'll please call the roll.
Ms. Conkle?
Yes.
Ms. Samms?
Yes.
Mr. Bree?
Yes.
Ms. Oberlin?
Yes.
Ms. Cross?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Yep.
Motion carries.
Thank you, guys. Okay, moving on to,
Number 7.
yes, because we're moving item new business number 6 to the end, so we're going to move on to number 7, please.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
on this I need to abstain. I'm sorry.
Okay. Ms. Conkle is going to abstain from voting on item number 7.
Number 7.
Are these, are we doing it together? These-
Are you ready for me to read
No.
it, Madam Chair?
Yes, please, I'm sorry, yes.
In accordance with Articles 4, 16, and 17, 19 of the City of Frankfort zoning ordinance, Johnson Browning Investments LLC is requesting a conditional use permit to operate a short-term rental for the property located at 307 Wilkinson Street. The property is more particularly identified as PBA map number 061-2404-011.00.
307 Wilkinson Street features a historic building on an approximately 3,400 square foot lot on the east side of Wilkinson between West Broadway and West Main. This is zoned special historic, same zoning as the item we just saw a few moments ago at 103 Watson Court. The current owners took possession of the property at the end of March of this year, 2022, and it is currently vacant building. Prior to this, it was used as an office for several years. So the house is a front gabled cottage built with a shotgun plan. It has a full width front porch with round columns sitting on square brick piers. The foundation is stone but has been covered with metal skirting that resembles rusticated concrete block. The house is a contributing structure to the Central Frankfort National Register District, listed in 2009. It's a very good example of early 20th century vernacular architecture, and it helps to illustrate the variety of historic buildings and types available in the special historic zone, as well as the Central Frankfort National Register District. So staff finds that the proposed use is permissible in the SH zone, provided that the stipulations in Article 12 and 19 are met, which we find that they did. The house would require 1 parking spot, which is met by street parking, and general conditions as listed in 19.01, Article 19.01 for conditional uses are all met. So based upon our evaluation in the application and the zoning regs, we find that it is compatible when we have 4 suggested facts, and recommend approval with 5 conditions as listed on page 3 of your staff report. I haven't had any comments for this specific request, this short-term rental, non-owner occupied.
Any questions for Jordan?
Thank you.
Is a representative of the applicant present? You'll come forward and state your name and your address.
I am Joe Johnson, 375 Holt Lane.
Okay, and have you received and read a copy of the staff report?
Yep,
Agree with their findings and the suggestions?
we do.
Okay. Any questions for the applicant? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I will entertain a motion. Or is there discussion to be had amongst the board? I'm sorry, I'm jumping through things. I mean, I stand with where I stayed. Oh, yeah. Are there members of the public here to comment on this proposal? No? Okay.
All right.
Are you moving?
I can't.
Go ahead.
I couldn't decide if he was going to
It's,
ask questions or make a motion. Just,
I make a motion, we approve the conditional use permit for 307 Wilkerson Street based on the staff's suggestions and the report.
I'll second that.
Madam Secretary, please call the row.
Ms. Sands?
yes.
Mr. Bree?
Yes.
Ms. Oberlin?
Yes.
Ms. Cross?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, we will now move on to the order of new business that is indicated as number 8, because we are going to move 6 to the
In
end.
accordance
No.
with Articles.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Sorry.
What is, don't we have?
Yes,
Okay,
number 8.
yeah.
In accordance with Articles 4, 16, and 17 of the City of Frankfort zoning ordinance, Johnson Browning Investments LLC is requesting a certificate of appropriateness to construct an addition on the site of the primary structure located at 307 Wilkinson Street. The property is more particularly identified as PVA map number 061-2404-01100.
All right, so this is, just for clarification, the same property that we were just discussing for the conditional use. This is for a certificate of appropriateness. So the applicant is proposing to remove a rear porch, which is located on the south rear side of the building and has a different roof line than the rest of the property. The new construction for the addition, which will measure 3 foot by 11 foot, would include extending the footprint to the edge of the existing bump out addition, the south wall, and squaring off the corner with the back, the east wall. The roof line of the new section would be rebuilt to match the existing bump out roof line. The roof will be covered with asphalt shingles if the slope is appropriate. If not, a synthetic rubber membrane roof, which exists on the bump out currently, will be continued for the addition. Gutters will be installed to match the existing K-style gutters. And siding will be installed to match the existing as close as possible in profile and materials, but if an exact material match can't be found, fiber cement board is proposed. Skirting at the foundation will also be attempted to match as closely as possible, and the material proposed for the new portion of the roof will be compatible with the materials on the existing roof. So this project will take place at the rear of the structure, behind an existing bump-out addition, and from the right-of-way, the visibility will be limited at best. The old enclosed porch itself is not a character-defining feature of the property. It is not part of the original construction per a 1912 Sanborn map. And based upon the information contained in the application and our evaluation, we find that it's partially compatible in concept with the requirements of the zoning regs, sections 4.408, 16.04, and with the special historic zoning district design guidelines. And we have 4 suggested facts as listed on page 3 of the staff report. And we also have 3 recommended conditions that be applied should the board recommend to issue the COA, also as listed on page 3 of your staff report. And I have not received any public comment for this COA request.
Any questions for staff?
I have just one.
Okay.
Same question as before. These modifications, will they be easily reversible? Should someone choose to do so?
On this, yes, I would say yes, because we're not removing any, no like features or openings are being removed.
Okay, thank you.
I did notice staff report mentioned the applicant did not indicate that an existing door was going to be replaced. It's at the very end, page 3, before the request for COA is partially compatible.
Okay.
It is not a historic door. Is that where you are?
Yeah, the applicant did not indicate if they would be replacing the door in the application. Looks like it could receive staff approval.
the rear door, I believe. Is that the one we're talking about, on the rear of the property?
Rear.
Okay, let me double check before I give you.
I don't think either doors are accurate, front or back, or historically accurate.
We can ask the applicant.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure it out right now.
Yeah, we'll ask the applicant. Any other questions for Jordan?
Yeah.
Okay. If the applicant is present, if they'll please come forward, state your name and address.
Hi, Joe Johnson. I still live at 375 Holt. Unless my wife is mad at me when I get home.
Okay, have you received a copy of the staff report?
Yes.
And you agree with its findings and suggestions?
Yes.
Okay. I do have a question. So you're removing a door?
I think one of the conditions was that the door, the rear door be replaced with a appropriate door that staff would approve, and we're fine with that.
Okay,
He indicated that the rear door's not
okay.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
a slab, metal slab door.
Okay. Any other questions for the applicant? Thank you.
Thank you all.
Can entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion. So in accordance with Articles 4, 16, and 17, I would make a motion to approve a certificate of appropriateness for 307 Wilkinson Street. Of course, taking into account staff conditions.
I'll second that.
Madam Secretary, if you'll call the roll, please.
Ms. Comical?
Yes.
Ms. Sands?
Yes.
Mr. Briggs?
Yes.
Ms. Oberlin?
Yes.
Ms. Cross?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Motion carries.
For the record, Mr. Breek is now going to recuse himself of voting on, it's actually item number 6 under new business. And if Madam Secretary will read the request.
Okay, 6. In accordance with Articles 4, 16, and 17 of the City of Frankfort zoning ordinance, Kevin Breek, on behalf of Blue Cap LLC, is requesting a certificate of appropriateness to construct a deck at the rear of the property located at 501-503 Wapping Street. The property is more particularly identified as PVA map number 061-2402-00300.
All right, 501, 503 Wapping Street. Currently, there's a set of wood stairs at a landing at a rear entrance to the property. This landing and stairs are not a historic feature. The applicant is proposing to replace these with a small deck constructed of wood and a new set of stairs. The deck will be 12 feet wide and 10 feet deep and will be approximately 4 feet 10 inches tall. The deck railing and balustrade will be made of wood with the exact design to be determined. The existing structure is an Italianate, frame 2-story building with a low-pitched roof and box gutters on the main structure. The foundation's primary limestone, although there are additions on the rear that appear to have been originally supported by brick piers and later filled in with limestone in between. The house is documented as having been constructed in the 1870s for James G. Dudley. The current house is a contributing structure to the Central Frankfort Historic District, listed on the National Register of Historic Places in 2009 with state significance. There is a contributing garage at the rear of the lot, which still has its original early 20th century garage doors. In our analysis, the general size, material, and placement of the new deck meets the design guidelines found on page 67 of the Special Historic Zoning District Design Guidelines. The deck will serve as a large landing and potential seating area adjacent to the entrance door. Based upon the application or evaluation, We find that the request for a certificate of appropriateness is compatible in concept with the requirements of the zoning regs, sections 4.408, 16.04, and the special historic zoning district design guidelines. We have 4 suggested findings of fact as listed on page 2 and 3 of your staff report, as well as 4 recommendations of conditions should the COA be issued. No comments received on my end regarding this request from the public.
Thank you, Jordan. Any questions for Jordan? Thank you.
Thank you.
Is a representative of the applicant present? Will you please state your name and your address?
Kevin Breek, 505 St. Clair, Frankfurt.
Have you received a copy of the staff report and agree with it and its findings?
Yes.
And suggestions?
Yes.
Okay. Would you like to tell us anything about the proposal? Okay. There being no one else in the audience, I'm going to assume there's no public comment. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the certificate of appropriateness for 501 through 503 Wapping Street, along with staff recommendations and suggestions.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
If you'll please call the roll.
Ms. Conkle?
Yes.
Ms. Samms?
Yes.
Ms. Oberlin?
Yes.
Ms. Cross?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. And, oh my gosh, I was almost like done, but that's not the way it goes.
Madam Chair, can
Yes.
I point out something? Councilor Logan, correct me if I'm wrong. I noticed I got a couple of strange looks earlier. So I did not know this. So I learned this from Councilor Logan tonight and wanted to pass it along and be clear about why I did the things I did. So when a board member removes themselves from the dais, that is literally removing themselves from the vote. Whereas if you abstain, you are giving your vote to the majority.
Oh, so I see.
And there,
That's also correct. Under Robert's rules, which we operate, if you abstain, your vote goes with the majority.
thank you, because I did not know
If you
that.
remove from the dais, you're not considered in the vote, nor are you considered as part of a quorum.
Oh.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
And can quorum fluctuate from vote to vote? It could?
Certainly, a quorum is a
Okay.
quorum. If you have enough members, as long as you still maintain a quorum, you can vote. But we didn't have the problem tonight, but
Yeah.
however, sometimes individuals, if they don't, if they recuse, we can't vote anyway. We're down to,
Yeah.
so few members.
Which we suffered through for quite some
Yeah,
period
but
of
this
time.
board has been good about having plenty of members here, so we haven't had that problem.
We had 4 members for
I bet.
a while.
Okay, I think that I will entertain a motion for adjournment,
I'll second that.
and then we can all just say aye.
Aye.
Is that right, Don? Am I doing that right? So, lots of support people, I hope you liked what we had to say.
We were perfectly aware of the circumstance.